Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for your attention. I know how precious time is, and we're grateful that you're sharing some of your time with us. So, I'm very grateful to the speakers for the information they have shared. I will try today to take a wider look at the subject of reliable investments, which is the title of today's conference. We decided to give it a working name called Escape to Cyprus. If you have been to Cyprus from Northern and Northeastern Europe, countries of the old Soviet bloc, Russia, Ukraine, and many others, perhaps you recognize this view, which is Capo Greco, Cape Greco, Ayanapo on the left, Protaras on the right. The airplanes come to land in Larnaca Airport, always in this way. So this will be the view when you escape to Cyprus. What is the Family Protection Plan? We see it as a 360-degree protection, defense of exactly what it says, your family and your interests. I think that family protection, of course, consists of several elements, 5 in this case, and I would like to take you through it. We see it as a combination of things which are necessary to make sure that your investments are made reliably and your family interests are protected. The first one is the European passport, specifically Cyprus. Because my colleague Andrei has done such an excellent job at talking about all the benefits, or most of the benefits of Cyprus, I will just allow myself to focus on a couple of things. Starting from the most relevant and the most recent thing, meaning the events of 2020, we all know what I'm talking about. Suddenly, people without a second passport realized that they can't leave their country without a second passport. They're stuck. They're not able to travel, for example, to the European Union. I am sure many of you may have business interests or relatives or children studying in Europe, and not physically being able to make the trip when you want to or when you need to. This is a problem. This is a threat. So what is the solution? If you like Europe, then you need a European passport. Out of the clients, of our clients who have received these passports recently, one was literally bragging to me. He was very proud of the fact that he was able to leave Moscow, for example, I think 2.5 months ago, to go to Germany, where he has business interests, and then to Austria, and eventually to Cyprus, which is where he is right now enjoying his holidays. So if you want guaranteed travel in extreme situations like what we all lived through and are living through now, a European passport could be the answer. Cyprus is about to have visa-free travel to the USA. That might be important to some of the people. Fantastic tax regime. We like numbers. 0 effective tax on passive income. We will look at this a little bit later. You can live and work in any country in the European Union. Your children can receive free government education, first of all in Cyprus. And I can name dozens of kids. I have 4 children. They have lots of friends. Columbia, Yale, Harvard, and many other schools where children have attended after attending government schools, not even public in Cyprus. Has an excellent education system, I dare to say. More than that, your children can study in European universities paying European rates. They are a lot lower than rates for non-European citizens. Even more than that, how would you like for your children to study for free in university in countries like Holland, Germany, Scotland? These countries offer free university education to European Union citizens. This is also a big plus. It's not unique to Cyprus, but it adds to the mix. No language or history tests, and some of these are brutal, like in the UK. I was very surprised to learn that applicants for the UK citizenship, for example, have to pass very rigorous tests, which even born and bred UK citizens would have difficulty with. I will not talk about the weather and the beaches, which I love because I've lived in Cyprus since 1987, when the airport was another airport and there was no highways. So I dare to say I know it very well and I love it. It's a paradise in most respects. So what about the money? Compared to some other countries, the amount of non-returnable investment, if we can call it that, is only 75,000. In other countries, the amount of money you, to speak simply, give to the government is a lot higher. In some cases, numbering hundreds of thousands, and I heard that this will even be increased more. So in a nutshell, these are the beauties of the Cyprus passport, especially in conditions that we have today. So this is the first component of the family protection plan, a European passport, in our view. Let's talk about taxes. As I promised before, numbers speak louder than words. Please take a look at the table on the right. The black one. Simply speaking, all passive income, if you receive the Cyprus non-domiciliary regime classification, basically you become a Cyprus non-dom, which is a straightforward and not a complicated and certainly not an expensive procedure. Your dividend income and your interest income is completely exempt, full stop. So if we're talking about a family, an individual who has passive income, and I think that looking at our clientele, we've been in business since 1993, when international business just started in Cyprus with the first company registrations and so on. So when I look at a client, an investor who is of a certain age and of a certain asset level, a lot of the income is at this point passive. These people are not working, they're receiving dividends, they're receiving interest income from the various investments they have made. That income for a Cyprus non-dom is completely exempt. Moving on. Oh, and by the way, just to return to taxes, well, compare zero to just about any other rate, and you get the point that this is a fantastic package, a Cyprus passport and the Cyprus non-dom regime, which would be effective for 17 years in terms of the zero taxes. Another very important part of protecting your family. I'll talk about me. It's difficult to talk about other people. What's going to happen the day when I'm no longer around? I have my assets, I have my shares of companies, I have interest income, I have investment income, and so on. All of these various things which are providing my family, like your family, with the current lifestyle that we're all used to. The day after, my family is on its own. Unless I build a bridge, unless I do preparatory work to make sure that these assets pass smoothly without problems to my family, they're going to get stuck in bureaucratic procedures and court and legal requirements and so on for a long time, for months, maybe even years. Because we have assisted more than 13,000 clients over the years, obviously no one lives forever, even though subconsciously we all think that we're immortal, like Sigmund Freud said. But unfortunately, this is not the case. So we have seen hundreds of cases where a bridge was not built for asset protection, and the family gets stuck and for months has to go through various procedures to gain access even to bank accounts, meaning to liquidity, to the money. What is the solution to this problem? To protect the assets of the family and to ensure safe passage to the next generation. We recommend a family investment company or a trust. These are vehicles, these are instruments to make sure nobody suffers and nobody has problems in this asset transition period, which will come sooner or later. These instruments are UK common law, British based. They have been tested for centuries The family investment company is not something new. It is a classical UK law LTD, limited liability company with shareholders, which can be customized in its memorandum and articles and other documents to function as an asset protection and as an asset transfer vehicle. So we really recommend to our clients, as part of their family protection package, to think about this and to build that bridge. Because doing something like this last second is difficult, if not impossible. It requires some preparation. Not only can you secure safe passage of assets to the next generation, you can also retain control. These things do not mean that you give control over to someone of your assets. And this issue often makes clients consider these tools very carefully. The good news is you can retain the control. Of course, there are tax implications and things have to be structured in a very proper manner, but this can be done with professional legal advisory and lawyer assistance, as we have done in the past many times for our clients. Moreover, it provides you with creditor or claimant protection. I'm not talking about creditors which exist today and we make a structure to avoid creditors. I'm talking about creditors which may appear at some time in the future. The family investment company can be set up in such a way that creditors will have no claim on, will not be able to access the assets, and in a completely legal manner. So I think this bridge, this asset protection element, is extremely important when we're talking about family protection. Reputation protection. How many of you have, you can ask yourselves, gone to a bank to open an account, gone to a brokerage to open an investment account or a discretionary management account, have wanted to buy property in Cyprus, in Malta? I am sure it is the same case in Portugal, and I assume in Montenegro. And you were asked, okay, great, fantastic, thank you, I'm so happy you want to make the investment. Let's take care, and here come strange abbreviations. KYC, due dil, AML. We all, I think, know what I'm talking about. We're talking about compliance, meaning everybody today and for the last 5 years wants to know not just your passport copy, but how did you earn your assets? How did you earn your wealth, the so-called source of wealth? They want to know their client. They want background information on the investor. They want to make sure that any anti-money laundering regulations are complied with. And these are significant requirements which grow exponentially in the level of difficulty depending on what kind of business you have and where did you earn the money and the assets that you currently have. If you receive a salary and you have a tax declaration and that's that, then things are very simple and straightforward. But people who have 2 million euros or 800,000 euros or 300,000 euros most likely are business owners, they're entrepreneurs. So the answer is not a simple salary tax declaration. You need to explain about your business. You need to document these things. You need to show what kind of business you were doing. If the assets are overseas, if they are on international companies, the situation becomes even more complicated because, as we know, up until relatively recently, money was moving very freely, and it is not always easy to answer the question, what is the source of these funds? How did I make this money? From what transaction? Who was my counter agent? What did I get paid for? Did I actually do the work? And so on. The point I want to make, this is a risk. This is a reputational risk and a functionality risk, because if you're not able to comply with the compliance requirements, you will not be able to make your investment. We recommend, instead of leaving this for last second and running around desperately collecting documents from 10 years ago and trying to figure out how exactly to present this to the company which is requesting it, we recommend again to prepare in advance, to take care of this issue. How? Before I lived in Cyprus, before I moved to Cyprus, I also lived and worked in New York for 11 years. So we're talking about 40 years of experience with financial services institutions. And I learned many things at during my lifetime. One important thing is you should be giving to the institution which is asking you for information the package in such a way as it expects to receive it. It wants to receive it. They want to be able to see things certain way, the way they're used to it, the way their mentality is structured. So we recommend, regarding your reputation protection, financial reputation, is to prepare an enhanced compliance file in advance. Don't wait for the moment when you're ready to apply for a passport or to open a brokerage account or to make an investment. Prepare an archive which has all of these things documented and organized in the way that the counterparty expects to see it. And we can assist in this respect, as with all other parts of the family protection plan. And we have been working on enhanced compliance profiling for the last 5 years, which is how long approximately compliance appeared on the scene in Cyprus in earnest, in full, and also since the time that we have our license from the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission as an administrative service provider, as an alternative investment fund manager. We're very familiar with it, and we know how the institutions expect to see your compliance, and we can help you prepare such an archive. This is, again, part of the family protection. So we've talked about the passport, which gives you freedom of movement in extreme conditions like we all have lived and are still living because of the travel restrictions. We talked about the Cyprus non-dom regime, which gives you 0 taxes on passive income. We talked about asset protection, making sure that your loved ones are able to have access to the family assets and enjoy them without going through a horrible, lengthy, painful, tiring, and completely new to them procedure of probates in court, lawyers, court appearances, and so on, in order to finish the inheritance process. We've talked about financial reputational protection by making an enhanced compliance file. So all of this, in my opinion, helps to secure the family interests and minimizes and eliminates various risks. Again, the name of our conference is Reliable Investments. Part of the family protection, I believe, should be a reliable investment. Allow me to say just a few words. You're looking at a slide which has just the most basic things about compliance, which I talked about previously. And let me continue to reliable investments. We've heard many horror stories in the past about people losing millions in, I will not name countries, but there are European countries, in various development projects, in brokerages. Recently, we all saw what happened to bonds and shares. They took a gigantic dive, although they did recover substantially. I hope nobody had to liquidate their positions at the trial, because that would be painful. So what should be a part of a smart investment portfolio? Is it all about maximum income? Is it about selecting things which give you the most return? Is that the only criteria? We believe, of course, not, and I'm sure you will agree. And a reasonable portion of your investment portfolio should be something not to make maximum profits, but to make sure there's no losses of your capital and a decent return. There's an interesting business which has existed for many years, in the UK in particular, for about the last 10 years. It's called bridge financing. These are short-term loans to UK borrowers only with security, with residential real estate first charge. So these people want to borrow money for under 12 months, and they have a security property, and they're willing to give it as a security for the loan. This business is called bridge finance. We did not invent it. The size of the industry is 7 billion sterling in 2019. So it's not a gigantic industry, but it's not small either. Why was it born? Why did it appear? Because after the financial crisis in 2009-10 in the UK, the banks had a credit crisis. They did not want to give out loans. They got scared after the well-known fiasco of the US derivatives, Lehman Brothers, and so on. So, and the Bank of England also gave instructions, recommendations to be very careful with lending. What happened? There's demand for lending, but the banks either don't want to lend or take a very long time to do it. Now, waiting for a loan for 5 months for an active business, especially a small one, this is not good conditions. Businesses want flexible, fast lending. And this is what the bridge financing industry can provide. We've been in the bridge financing industry for the last 8 years. We've been working in it. We've granted over 150 million sterling worth of loans. We have financed 300 million plus worth of property acquisitions. These are about 350 loans that we have granted over the last 8 years. Today, I'm happy to say that this product we have packaged into a licensed and regulated fund, which gives the investor additional protection. The target return, as you can see on the screen, is 5% in pounds, in dollars, and it's about 4% plus in euro. It's a fixed return. Shortly, let's look at the characteristics. Main thing, the return I just mentioned. Quarterly dividends, 1. 2, I would say it's a relatively liquid product. The minimum term is 12 months. After that, you can exit on a monthly basis with 6 months notice. The minimum investment is 125,000. So we have a product which is not correlated with the main negotiable instrument, meaning share and bond markets. It is not volatile, unlike shares and bonds. It has a crystallized security. You're holding a first charge on a London house or an apartment. Unlike bonds, which, as you know, you're last in line. You are not a secured creditor. If the company goes belly up, which happens many times, governments go belly up. We have witnessed the Russian default, the Argentinian default, and a number of others. When I say witnessed, we had clients who had investment instruments related to that. I realize I'm going quite far back in the future, but this is the time span of our work experience. So in case of bonds, you're going to be last in line. In case of bridge financing, you are first in line. You are first in line. Everybody else comes next, including the owner of the property itself, in case the loan is not repaid and we need to collect on the security. So such a product could be a smart piece of your overall investment portfolio, providing a counterbalance to other more energetic, let's call it like that, or aggressive investments. To summarize, this is how we see the right way to take care of protecting the family. It's not just a passport or an investment product or an isolated piece. We believe in 360 degrees. I would like to also add that on all the components that I have mentioned today, we have pre-recorded webcasts. That's 1. And 2, I'm sure many colleagues in the audience are in a similar industry like us, and they have esteemed clients. We're open to cooperation. We've been doing these products for 27 years. Consulco was started in 1993, as Andreas has graciously introduced us. So this is what I wanted to contribute to today's discussion. I thank you very much, and I'm ready, together with my colleagues, to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Brilliant, Dimitri. That was a fantastic presentation. Thanks very much. And I think that it corresponds basically to, as you were saying, 360 degrees and a proper plan, a proper, in some cases, restructuring. In a lot of cases, it starts with that citizenship and residence planning. In this case, through the Cyprus passport. It is a door opener, and I think that nowadays. As the time is, if you have not prepared, if you haven't done your homework, you are just basically ready to fail. To be honest with you, at the end of the day, transparency. Everyone is coming onshore instead of offshore, and getting that track of the source of funds of the AMLs in certain jurisdictions. It is getting difficult. So I mean, it is a great presentation again, and thanks very much. We have a couple of questions, actually. The first one of them, it is regarding the funds, basically. It is if the fund is completely secured, and sometimes with regular clients, the tendency is to hold unsecured positions for the short time. And if that really is the case, can you comment a little bit on that?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Forgive me.
We have it in the chat. If you want to read, it is going to be easier actually because of my accent.
Okay. Is the fund secured? Yes, the fund is secured in the sense that whatever money is lent out, whatever money is given out in loans, for every single loan, there is a security property on which a first charge is registered in the UK land registry. And therefore, this property cannot be sold, gifted, transferred in any way without our express permission as first charge holders. So I would say, yes, the fund is secured in that sense. I should also add, in terms of security, that all loans are made by funds of the Consulco Group, not investor funds. That means that each loan we check ourselves because we're giving our own money as the first lend out. So this, I believe, adds additional security. We do the underwriting, we do independent valuations, we do independent legal checks. All of the people we use are licensed and insured professionally for 5-10 million pounds. So obviously, because we're lending money, our number one priority is to make sure we don't lose it. So for 8 years, we have managed to achieve that. And I would say it's a well-secured investment as compared in general to the market. Unsecured tendency with regular clients to hold unsecured positions for short term. I agree in the sense that clients love liquidity. There are clients who like liquidity. With liquidity, it's a more speculative situation. If you're looking for a liquid product, meaning you want to be able to get out instantly, that's full liquidity, you understand that you may be subject to market fluctuations. So our clients like the product because it is short term. It is also available in a retail version, not as a regulated fund. And some of the loans are as short as 6 months. So if that's what you mean by your question, if that clients like to hold short-term positions, we can also do that from 6 months. How would it pan when the underlying and loan requires no? Fantastic question, and thank you for asking about the relationship between the asset value that was given to us as security and the amount of the loan. We use a maximum LTV, loan to value, of 75%. This is historical, maximum. The beauty of the situation, if I might say, is that after COVID, we're of course speaking openly and plainly, we're continuing to give loans and of course continuing to receive redemptions, meaning loan repayments. We're giving loans at LTV as low as 40%, 50%, 60%. So that means that we have a 60% safety cushion. A £1 million house is given to us as security, and we give a £400,000 loan. That means the house, in order for us to be in a risk situation, that means the house has to drop absolutely significantly, viciously, 60% for us to end up in a risk situation. Just as a historical footnote, London real estate prices, as long as statistics are available, fell 15%, the most they fell, in 2009. I'm talking residential, 15%. They recovered in the next year. Even 19 and even 2020, when you look at month-on-month changes of index house prices, one of the beauties of London and UK, and by the way, we work in London, we don't take properties in Birmingham, Manchester, and so on, just Greater London, because we believe that the liquidity and the demand, and like Andrei mentioned about the oil companies coming to Cyprus and they need places to put their high-paid executives, what is that? That's demand. Demand ensures the prices stay in a good situation and that there is liquidity. You can buy and sell things. London is the biggest real estate market in the world. Imagine that, bigger than New York. 50 billion worth of transactions in 2019. That means liquidity, that means demand. So that's about the LTV. Sorry. I think I answered the question regarding loan to value and regarding the secured and regarding the short term.
That's fantastic, Dmitry. Really great insights. Really appreciated it. I'm sure that we'll be able to have a more few Q&A at the end of the presentation. So thanks very much for that. Really good presentation and answers. We thank you very much for your time.